Welcome, and happy Victory Monday, everybody from the Patterson Report podcast. I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. And it's not Thursday, but we couldn't wait till Thursday to talk about this one. So we'll still be back on Thursday again to do, we'll finally get to talk about something maybe other than Eagles Thursday because we do have a little bit of
Maybe.
break in Eagles for a bit.
hmm
Um, but today we had to react to the sound drumming of Washington last night. I mean, this is by far the best game this team's played all year. I thought they played a great game against Baltimore. Great, really good team. It was a dogfight. We beat them, but the Eagles had played a lot of those kind of games all year. This one was we are so much better than you, and we're going to show the world. I mean, we had Will Shipley scoring fourth quarter TDs. We had Kenny Pickett getting reps. I mean, do you realize how ridiculous it is that we had the backups in the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I didn't think it would get that far, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I started feeling the blowout, around the time I was writing my article, around the time we were doing the last show. I thought the offense was going to come to life, and they outperformed my expectations. So
Yeah, like
I I didn't think 55 was in the realm of possibilities, but
no.
it was.
You and I were talking score last week on this pod, and we both kind of were like, man, if this team breaks 30, we win this game because of how good the defense is and all those other things. Which still would have been the case. And we kept Washington to 23. But I mean, we put 30 in the rear view pretty quickly in that second half. I mean, credit to Washington. They played us tough in the first half. I mean, you and I were kind of texting throughout the game. You have that Saquon touchdown right off the bat. Then you get the fumble, and you're thinking, all right, here's the floodgates. This one might get ugly. And you go into the half up, what was it, up 10 at the half?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
So doable game at the half if you're Washington, but then the second half, this Eagle team,
I think it
I
was
mean,
12.
yeah.
12. So the whole 2-point non-tush push thing that they.
Oh yeah, because they talk about the middle eight a lot with football, especially recently. I mean, the Eagles absolutely dominated the middle eight last in this week, but no, just all facets of the game. I thought Jada looked great. I thought both Devontae and AJ Brown got into it. There was some talk during the year about, Dallas Goedert. It's been fun, but we have Grant Calcaterra. How do we really need to keep him around? Dallas Goedert's been our best receiving option this entire postseason. He has been spectacular.
Yeah.
So he popped off. The defense, I mean, we could spend 20 minutes on the defense, but it was just a full team effort. And that version of the Eagles last night, I'll say it now, I'm going to probably eat my words in 2 weeks. That version of the Eagles beats KC by 2 scores.
I agree. Kellen Moore was in his bag. I mean, the
Yeah.
touch pass. I looked at my dad. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
But it was genius. I mean, dude, get Saquon outside, get him one-on-one with some corners. You're not going to be able to arm tackle. I mean, it was brilliant. I can't believe it took this long to see it.
He was in his bag.
Yeah.
He was in his he needs to be in his bag against Spagnuolo though. That's concerning. Spags going to bring it in 2 weeks, and I don't like this whole head coaching thing. We could spend more time on that on Thursday probably because they flew to Philadelphia today to interview him.
Yeah, the Saints, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why a head coach would take that job. I'm just gonna be, straightforward and say that.
Or might not.
I mean, I understand it's one of the coveted 32 opportunities, but you either need a 6 or 7 year deal, like guaranteed that you're gonna see it through because you have a long rebuild to go. But anyway, back to the Eagles. I just wanted to point that out that Kellen Moore's interviewing today.
I mean, look at Ben Johnson last year. He waited for what he thought was the right opportunity. Now, I'm not sure he took it. That's another argument.
Yeah, another podcast.
But Kellen Moore could very well try to sit it out this year, parlay possibly a Super Bowl win into being the number one name next year, and I would be ecstatic about that because yes, we would lose him after 2 years, but dude, at this point, I would take 2 years. I mean, poor Jalen's going to have attachment issues.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of ridiculous how quick they circle through coaches and how some teams don't do it at all. I mean,
well, to your point, KC. I mean, how long has Spags been running things over
Yeah,
there?
but Spags, that's a different story because Spags was not good as a head coach, and he went to KC, revived his career as a defense coordinator, and now he's incredible, and he's going to be throwing all kinds of looks at Jalen, and we're going to need the screen game to get going.
Yeah.
And it's tough because, we'll probably talk about this on Thursday or next Thursday because we have 2 shows before the Super Bowl, but there were a couple of moments in that KC game where I'm like, they really might, three-peat. Like the Josh Allen sneak, like you could argue about that all you want. I mean,
I am firmly in the camp that his ass got a first down.
I agree. So I think we're doing a short one tonight, obviously, because it's a Victory Monday thing. But I think we shelved that from when we talk about KC. But
Yeah.
just know it's in our heads, and I think it's in everyone's heads at this point. Where hopefully, it's difficult.
You got to beat him without a shadow of a doubt. Because
yeah, I mean,
if you're within a touchdown and you, God forbid, you got to leave it up to the refs, you already lost. Like, think of a la, 2022. Was it hold? Was it PI? I mean, by the letter of the law, yes. Has it ever been called that way? No. If we wind up in that position, and we're going to know as soon as it happens, if there is 2 minutes left, let's say we're up 3 or some bullshit like that, 4 or 5, something less than 7. 2 minutes, Pat Mahomes for the three-peat, we might as well just head on. It doesn't matter what we do.
I don't think he needs help in that scenario because we've seen him do it so many times. I don't think he gets necessarily help, but you know what I mean? It's just weird how every 50-50 thing, breaks their way. But it's been argued that teams against them cause more penalties because they're a better team. And there's so much to analyze about this opponent, which I agree. I think, it's tough to call a good game as a ref, honestly. And of course they're going to slip up and, make mistakes along the way. Everyone does.
It's just interesting how often it seems to break their way.
I mean, I feel like some people have doubts in their mind.
I mean, like, that was horrible.
There was a couple of moments in that game where it just haunts me from a couple of years ago. Which yes, that was PI. Like it was a grab. It was extremely that's not one you could argue about. But there's a couple where it makes you nervous, and people are getting really. I think people are gone too far about it because I don't think people want the three-peat.
I mean, I think. Here's the thing. I don't think it's a conspiracy because I wish I could credit who brought it up, but it's a really genius point. But somebody said, there's no way that there's a conspiracy in favor of the Chiefs because you would then need 31 other owners to go, yeah, good call, we'll lose.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah.
That's not the case. I do, however, think, and the same thing happened with Brady, that there is a pressure on the officials. There's not a directive like people are saying. There is a pressure of being in those moments with that kind of history and a player of Pat Mahomes' caliber where he's going to get the LeBron calls. Like, he's going to get the phantom calls that, I'm picking, Andre Drummond's not going to get the same whistle as LeBron James. He's just not. Pat Mahomes is going to get a LeBron James whistle. If it's close, he's going to get, the tie goes to Pat Mahomes. And with football, the reason that's so tough is there's a foul on every single play. I mean, there's a hold on every play. Everybody knows that. It just depends. It depends on how egregious it is when it's called. You could probably make a case for defensive hold on your PI on 75% of plays. I mean, any kind of hand fighting could be PI or could be holding. What's scary is in those moments when you're, last 2 minutes, you're going against Pat Mahomes and this, dynasty in the making that I think the NFL is looking to fill a gap after the pay. There's every reason for them to get that break. And when you're going to foul anyway and you're at the mercy of the officials not to call it, it's not where you want to be.
Yeah, I don't think the conspiracy is real. I mean, you have to bring it up because so many people are talking about it. I mean, Schefter was tweeting about the refs yesterday. I can't believe he tweeted that out. Like the stats with the penalties versus I can't believe he tweeted that out.
it's either the greatest coincidence, and I don't think it's a conspiracy either, or it's a product of something. We can discuss what that is, but I don't think it's a pure coincidence either. I think it's a product of some kind of, I'm calling it pressure, where you feel like you need to give him that whistle, like people do with LeBron. I don't think it goes all the way to the top. I'm not going to put a tinfoil hat on right now, but it is something to be aware of. And if you find yourself in a close game with Chiefs, you have to understand that you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt on calls. You have to win anyway.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up. I totally agree. There's nothing up top, but like I said, so many people are talking about it that it'd be a disservice not to bring it up of, what potentially lies ahead 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, but I mean, we can talk about what we can control. This Eagle team reminds me more. This team reminds me more of 2017 than it does of 22. On the field, 22 was explosive right up until the very end. But the defense was inherently flawed. We were just able to get by on. Remember that team lived and died on pressure. It wasn't a great defense. That front end made up for a lot of sins on the back. And then the offense was big play or bust. We ran the ball well with Miles Sanders. We're still the number one rushing team in football, but it wasn't as balanced as it is with Saquon. Mm-hmm. But this team reminds me more of 17, where I think, the talent's there. Obviously, we're a loaded roster. But you see guys like Cam Jurgens playing through a back injury to get out there. Landon Dickerson stepping into a position he hadn't played in years, clearly already hurt, barely walking on the side. You have Zach Vaughn being Zach Vaughn. You have so many of these storylines and these guys willing to gut it out. AJ Brown gets way too much shit for being a quote unquote diva wide receiver. He's one of the most low maintenance wide receivers there is. This is the guy who should be first team All Pro every year, setting incredible blocks downfield to break somebody else for their big moment. So I don't know. This team has that togetherness feel that 17 did, and I think that does count for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're playing together. They're gonna have a birthday celebration in New Orleans for Coop and Saquon. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, they bring the ring home for them. That'll be a fun narrative as the week goes on and we get there, because man, it just feels different from 17.
Well, we're healthier than 17.
Yeah, we're healthier, and then Saquon is just,
dude.
You can make the argument that he's the best player in football, and
he is the best player.
Yeah, it's insane what he's been able to do with this offensive line and this team, and he's gonna break the all-time rushing record combined for postseason and regular season. I think he needs 35 yards.
Yeah, so he'll get that in the first quarter.
Oh yeah, he'll get that on the first run, maybe. Who knows? I can't believe he housed that first run.
Every time. Look, I love Shady. I think he was electric to watch. But I never watched a back where as soon as he breaks one tackle, you stand up and you're going go, because he could break every single run that he touches. And some of them, it doesn't look like he has anything. He'll run in between the tackles, nothing there. He'll bounce it outside. There's two defenders to just Saquon, and it's over. He's right through him. He's the most electric back I think I have ever watched with my own two eyes. Adrian Peterson was sensational. Chris Johnson, obviously CJ2K was great. We had Shady. There's been some really good backs. I've never seen anything like Saquon Barkley.
No, it's just so special because of the ties he has to the area and the state and everything. He played for Penn State. He probably, if there was an expanded playoffs, he might have carried them to a ring back then. Who knows? Yeah. But it's just so special to watch this. And, his career, who knows if he would have played every year in Philly behind this offensive line. Who knows where he'd be talking about it.
He could have been the best running back to ever play football.
That's the conversation we probably have to be having. And, it's a shame that the Giants took that from us, but
hey, we got him now. And if he delivers a Super Bowl, the rest of that doesn't matter. You're a hero in this town forever. Nick Foles was the honorary captain, which was cool. We'll get into more of this on Thursday, but I want to talk about, Chris Long, Bo Allen, Fletch, Shady, Djax, like all the Eagles alum that come back to games. There's something cool that they're doing with the culture. I appreciate. But to wrap this one up, we're only doing a 15-minute show. I want to shout out a couple guys that aren't going to get a lot of love on ESPN, but were phenomenal yesterday. Nolan Smith continues to be on an absolute heater. Zach Bond's turning in one of the greatest playoff linebacking performances we've ever seen. And then Oren Burks, who I on this podcast said I was concerned about. I didn't think he could do the job. God, I mean, that Green Bay game, he didn't look like he could. He has stepped into the Kobe Dean shoes beautifully, and we've barely skipped a beat. So shout out to those three guys. You'll hear about Jalen Carter. Oh, and Jordan Davis. Monster third quarter from Jordan Davis.
13 snaps. Did it all.
It didn't matter. It was an impactful 13 snaps.
Yeah, you'll hear about everyone else throughout the weeks, though. Like, I mean, the corners are going to get talked about. I hope the offensive line gets their flowers because Dickerson and Juergens toughed it out on Sunday. Yeah. And, you know, everyone's going to be, you know, talking about Jalen Hurts. And it's interesting to see LaShawn McCoy called out Chase Daniel today on one of the talk shows. I forget which one it's called. Yeah.
He was talking a lot of shit.
Yeah, Chase Daniel called him a winner today, and LaShawn McCoy said, "Hey, didn't you talk bad about him for a couple of weeks?" I'm glad that some of these guys are, you know, being like, "Hey, about that," you know.
Yeah.
There's been a lot about Jalen Hurts these past couple of weeks, and
he showed up, man.
I told you, I said it was gonna need to be the. I know I was against the Lions, but I re-echoed that against the Commanders. It needs to be the Jalen Hurts show, and it was. I mean, Saquon scores 3 times, but you know.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts was incredible, and he's going to need to do it one more time.
It's so tough.
We'll get to that.
Now, the only reason we're not is because I'm under the weather. I'll put it this way: I really think he will. He has given me no reason to believe he's not the kind of person that rises to occasions.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, we could wrap it up there. But you got to go get better because we have a long 2 weeks ahead of us.
Yeah, I want to get all mended up before the Super Bowl because I will be on Broad Street for anybody curious. I will be on Broad watching and celebrating after that game. So I got to go get healthy. But for this Victory Monday special edition podcast, I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. This is the Passing Report. We'll see you later.